G'day and welcome to this week's Frybat, Friday Beers and Tools with Andy. This week we have another one of those soury flavoured sort of beers. This is Culture House, beer from Culture House, Berliner Weissbier Raspberry. A beautiful balance between the sweetness of raspberries and the tartiness of Berliner Weissbier. An approachable sour wheat beer that is so refreshing it will be enjoyed by all. Let's find out. Take out my pad from the stupid last week's short can. Happy Friday. It's another sour beer. Not as sour as last week's. It's a bit weak actually. There is a bit of raspberry flavour there. Raspberry in beer, yeah, doesn't really work for me. Maybe I need to get away from these sour beers for a while. Those that have been watching know that I'm not a huge fan of sour beers, but I'm willing to give them a go and I'm willing to try something new. It tastes a bit like a weak cordial drink with fizz. Yeah, look, I don't know what to say about that. It's a light sour beer. It's 3.5%, so it's a mid-range. On my Spanner scale, that's a 1 out of 5. I probably won't even finish this. It's just not. All right, I'll give it another go. Now, I think I need to get away from sour beers for a while and go back to some more traditional type beers because that ain't doing it for me. 1 out of 5 Spanners. Alrighty, a while ago I reviewed a crimping tool for non-insulated terminals. And I'll put a link up to that one up here. And it was pointed out by one of my best mates who's an auto eleckie that there are better crimpers out there. And of course I'm not going to go and spend a fortune on crimpers because even though I am electronics, all that sort of stuff, I'm not in business, so I can't write off big dollar tools. And trust me, there are some crimpers in the market that are thousands of dollars. And yeah, back in my aviation days, yes, that's what crimpers would cost. But for a home type fella like me, and probably most of you, that thousands of dollars can't be justified. Unless you can write it off in business and you're doing it every day, then maybe, who knows. Anyway, long story short, I found another set of crimpers on Amazon, and these are from Astro Pneumatic. Now, Astro Pneumatic is a big pneumatic tool company. Why they've branched off into crimpers, I don't know, but yeah, anyway. Let's give them a go. Probably helps if I show you the front of the box. This is the Astro Pneumatic 9477 7-piece toolkit, and it has a number of jaws, crimping jaws in its kit. Alright, let's just tilt you down a little bit here so that you can see a bit better. Okay, one of my favourite blow mold case things, but yeah, it actually works in this case. It's got a hinge, not just a folding piece of blow molded plastic which will break eventually, so that's a good thing. This blow mold case probably will last for a while. So obviously, firstly we have the actual crimpers. They have a nice grip on them. And inside the crimpers we have interchangeable heads. and they just slide in and out, and they are in pairs, obviously. The set of jaws that are currently in the crimpers are the H set of jaws, and well, let's go through them from the beginning. The A series jaws are for your insulated terminals for American wire gauge 22 to 18, 16 to 14, 12 to 10. We'll also do DIN 0.5 to 1 and 1.5 to 2.5 and 4 to 6 millimeters squared. So that's probably the most common jaws that are used by auto eleckies, home mechanics, home guys doing work on their own cars, etc. for insulated crimps, and I'll put a picture of those type of crimps up here. The B set of jaws, a little bit harder to show you because they don't actually slot together unless they're in the tool. The B set of jaws do non-insulated terminals for American wire gauge 20 to 18, 16 to 14, 12 to 10, and DIN 1.5, 2.5, 6, and 10 mil squared cable. So that's very similar to the crimpers that I reviewed on a Frybat a few months ago, weeks ago, not sure. The C set of jaws are for open barrel terminals, and I'll put a picture up here of what open barrel terminals look like. And they are for American wire gauge 20 to 18, 16 to 14, 12 to 10, and DIN 0.5 to 1, 1.5 to 2.5, and 4 to 6 mil squared. So that's for your open barrel terminals. The D set of terminals, or D set of jaws, for insulated cord end terminals. Now, insulated cord end terminals are not widely used. They're probably used more in industry for terminating cables into terminal blocks and switches, etc. I'll put a picture up here of what an insulated cord end terminal looks like. But this is your D set of jaws, and they are for small wire gauge. As you can see, they're very small, small jaws, and they go for American wire gauge 22, 20, 18, 16, 14, and 12. And remembering, American wire gauge, the larger the number, the smaller the wire, and therefore also the DIN sizes are 0.5 mil, 0.75, 1 mil, 1.5, 2.5, and 4 mil squared. The F jaw is for huge American wire gauge, as they have written on the packaging. They are for insulated cord end terminals, the same sort of thing, but for big ones, for 10, 8, and 6 American wire gauge, which also coincides with DIN of 6 mil, 10 mil, and 16 mil squared. So pretty big terminals go into that one. And then the final set, which are in the crimper, take them out so that you can see. The H jaw are for open barrel terminals and D sub terminals V3.5, and they are for American wire gauge 14, 22, and 8, and DIN sizes of 2.5 mil to 0.5 mil and 8 up to 10 mil. Be interesting to see you get a 10 mil in that one there, but it probably would, because they reckon it does. So these were an Amazon tool. They're very nicely made. The handle is sort of a soft rubbery type handle, comfort grip, I guess you'd say. And they do have a small adjustment here, a little bit hard to see in this light, for crimping force. So if you find that the crimps aren't 100% accurately or tightly crimped, then you can actually tighten them down a little bit there. Astro Pneumatic stuff seems to be very good quality, seems to be fairly well known. These are made in Taiwan, Not that there's anything wrong with that. It certainly seems to be better quality stuff comes out of Taiwan than China. Comes with some paperwork and, like I said, a pretty good quality blow mold case. So this currently is on Amazon for $118.44 delivered, and I'll put a link to that in the description below. That's not a cheap set or not a cheap crimper. However, the fact that it has the ability to do all of this range means that you don't have to buy specific crimpers like I've shown you before to do each of those type of terminals. A little bit of a pain having to change your jaws, but I mean it's not difficult. And certainly if you're in the process of doing a set of terminals, they're all going to be the same, so you put one set of jaws in and do your crimping. That's not a big issue at all. $118 is probably a little bit steep for a home handyman or a young fella starting out. So buying a cheap set of Chinese crimpers for insulated and non-insulated terminals is probably slightly cheaper. It might cost you $40 or $50. However, this does everything that you ever will need, and so therefore $118 in the grand scheme of things is actually pretty good value. So let's talk value for money. At $118 for the range of type of terminals that it does, I think is pretty good value, and I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 beers for value. For functionality, they are really nicely machined jaws, and it's a nice action on the ratcheting crimper. I'm actually going to give it a 5 out of 5 beers for a functionality. Okay, that's it for this week's Frybat. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you got something out of that. Please like, share and subscribe. I'm about to go and tip this sour beer down the drain and clean out the pipes in the kitchen. So yeah, I can't recommend that beer. It's drinkable. It's a sour. If you like sour beers, you probably would like it. I'm not a fan. Anyway, that's it for this week. Hope to see you next week. See ya. On my spanner,